Hi, welcome to the Parent Academy on understanding students' progress through math data. I'm Mary Beth Stapleton, Manager of Family and Community Partnerships for Hartford County Public Schools. And I'm really excited today to be joined by Miss Laura Potter, who's our Supervisor of Mathematics. Hey, Laura.
Morning.
Morning. And Mr. Brett Parker, who's our Assistant Supervisor of Mathematics. Hey, Mr. Parker.
Hey, Mary Beth.
Good to see you both. And we're so excited because today we're going to talk about mathematics and how we use data to help our students thrive. So we know that mathematics is really important to have our student be successful in school. And with that, we really need to understand what data is coming home, what information is coming home for you as a parent, so you can understand how your child is progressing in mathematics. We know that this session will be helpful for parents in helping you have information that you need as you guide your child through elementary all the way to high school. We know that if families are supporting their children's math experiences all throughout their day, they tend to thrive in mathematics. Even just as a grandmom, I know that if I sit down and I play games with my grandkids, I know they're learning math in real time and they're having fun doing it. And then as our children grow, we want to learn how do we help our children as they grow in their mathematics. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Parker, who's going to walk you through how to understand your child's progress and the math data that you're seeing as it comes home to you from your school. Mr. Parker?
Yeah, we're really excited today to ground our conversation in the HCPS Math Office vision that every day our students are going to engage in reasoning, modeling, sense-making, problem-solving, and communication so they can see, use, and enjoy mathematics in their daily lives, similar to what Mary Beth just mentioned about the ways that she does math at home by playing games with her grandkids, and they're enjoying math while they're participating in math. And so we're going to talk about how we can make that vision come to life. We also wanted to ground our work in some community agreements we have in our math communities with our math educators and our math leaders, that we are living in, learning and growing together. We are believing in every student's capability, leading with respect and empathy, and valuing collaboration and connection, both within our math communities and with our school community partnerships. And today we're going to focus on learning and growing together. So the outcome for this session is that community members will find and interpret their students' score reports so that they can engage with their student and their schools effectively. And to do that, we're going to look at two information sources that may be coming home or that you have access to at home. One of those is iReady, and iReady is a diagnostic test that your student will take 3 times this year in September, January, and June. It also includes a computer program for learning called Personalized Instruction. Today, we're going to be focusing on that diagnostic test and how that information is used to support students. We're also going to be discussing the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, or MCAP, which is an end-of-year test provided by the state and is required by state and federal laws. The information from this test helps determine if students and helps students and families determine if students are on track to be college and career ready. And today we're going to talk more about how families can use these score reports, starting with iReady. And there are a number of resources available on the parent information site of hcps.org. So we're going to take a little live drive over there. And if you scroll down and see the Parents button, that first option in that menu is Resources for Parents. And there are many wonderful resources here, from early childhood education to registering, food and nutrition. We're going to live down here in academic information, as that is our expertise in the math world. And there is an iReady diagnostic assessment report for families. And if you click on this link, it will take you to a document that shows you step by step how you can access the iReady diagnostic report, which is the test and the results. And so you will need to be with your student's device on their student account, and you're going to open Google Chrome. There will be an iReady button, and it walks you through a series of steps that you can take to observe that report. And your student has taken this test one time so far this year, so there will be one report. And this interpretation is where we're going to focus our time today. The things that you can learn and what you'll be able to open some dialogue with the school about are going to live in this report. And so there are several places in the report that we're going to highlight. They're a little small on this screen, so we're going to switch back to the presentation so that you can see some screenshots. So all of the iReady data is broken into 4 domains or topics, and a placement is provided based on your student's test. There are 4 domains: numbers and operations, algebra and algebraic thinking, measurement and data, and geometry. And then the second column is where your students scored with regard to their current grade level. So this is for an 8th grade student. In 2 of those domains, they are approaching the 8th grade standards, and in 2 of those domains, that student could use a little bit more work. There is more information in the skills progress and more information at the bottom of the report. And that portion looks like this. And this tells you some things that students might benefit from engaging with. So what content might students benefit from engaging with? And this is used by teachers in schools to help create small groups during instruction, adjust lessons, provide student scaffolds in class. At the elementary level, teachers may use information from the diagnostic test to assign individual lessons within the iReady platform, the personalized instruction that we mentioned earlier, or decide on a focus skill or idea from a previous grade that might be helpful to review before upcoming instruction. At the middle school level, teachers are using this data to determine supports for math during the advisory block. And at the high school level, teachers of Ramp Up, Intro to Algebra, and Algebra 1 are using this data to provide individualized lessons similar to the elementary level to their students based on the middle school skills and concepts that access support and success with Algebra 1. We're also going to explore some resources that families might use in conjunction with this score report that are on the HCPS website. We'll head back there in a moment. The last part of the report that I wanted to highlight were these additional suggestions. And you can see that there's just a sentence or two about celebrating strengths and collaborating, and then asking the teacher for additional insight about your students' progress and for ideas and resources to support your students' learning at home. So we're going to head back to the HCPS website to see where you might be able to engage in using some of these references, and that is going to be the Parent-Teacher Conference Checklist. And so here are some questions that you might bring to a parent-teacher conference. And with this additional information from the score report, some of these questions might be a little bit more targeted around some of the content where your student is thriving and where your student may benefit from some additional time. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Potter to talk about MCAP.
Thanks, Mr. Parker. So now we're going to take a look at the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, or MCAP. These are tests that students take in school towards the end of the year, and these tests cover math, reading and writing, science, and social studies. Students take these tests from 3rd grade through high school, and the tests help teachers and schools understand how well students are learning the material when they're in school. MCAP also helps us see how close students are being ready for college or a job right after high school. Teachers might use the test results to plan lessons or to give students extra help if they need it. This MCAP score report that you see on your screen should have come home from school within the past 2 weeks. If you haven't seen the report, we ask that you talk to your student and your student's school to get a copy. The Math MCAP helps us understand if a student is on track to be college and career ready. So that is the overarching thing that the MCAP will do for us as teachers and as parents. If a student scores a 750 or above on this test, they're on track to be college and career ready. The goal is for students to show college and career readiness by the end of grade 10. And this can happen in a lot of ways, one way being that score of 750 on the Algebra 1 MCAP. There are a few other ways that the test is measuring how students are performing in mathematics. One is around how well the students are learning the content. For example, how well students can add fractions or how well students can solve equations. The test also measures how students are able to model within the real world and use problem-solving skills to help them solve complex problems. And finally, it measures how students are able to use reasoning to show their thinking. So how will they explain why that math works or why their strategy is the correct strategy to select for that particular problem? Here is a screenshot of a sample student and that sample student's score report. You'll notice at the top of the screen that there is an overall performance level, and then underneath of that, you can see that there is a score for modeling on the screen, but you'll also see that for content and reasoning. There are 4 different levels of performance. Level 1, a beginning learner, level 2, a developing learner, level 3, a proficient learner, and level 4, a distinguished learner. Students' strengths and successes should certainly be celebrated. The information that's provided on this performance report helps teachers to plan lessons and for you to partner with schools to help your student. Again, this report should have come home from school within the last few weeks. And if you haven't seen the report, please ask so that you can get a copy and see exactly where your student is, what should be celebrated, and what some potential next steps could be. On our Office of Mathematics website, we have lots of resources that can support learning at home and connecting with schools. So Brett is going to head over to our Office of Mathematics website so you can see exactly what's there. So he's in now on our website. So the website begins with our vision and our mission and a little bit of an explanation about the purpose of the Office of Mathematics. If you continue to scroll down, you'll see buttons for each level in our system, elementary, middle, and high school. For today, we're just going to click on the elementary school mathematics button. At each level, we have a small little paragraph explaining the purpose of each level. So here you'll see that we explain the purpose of pre-K through 5 mathematics. In the center of the screen, you see 8 I can statements, which describe what we want students to be thinking about when they're in math class. We want them thinking about how they make sense of problems and thinking about when they can use what they've learned before to solve real world problems. So any way that you can encourage these thinking processes at home would be incredibly helpful to your students. And then finally, we have some grade level resources. We'll take a look at the second grade resources for a moment. There is a link to our curriculum and then a link to family engagement resources. We'll click on the family engagement resource in a moment, but before we do that, whoops, sorry. I want to just scroll down to highlight some specific ways that you can support your students' math journey. So we have some math every day. So if you click on that, it'll give you some ways that you can do math at home. And, I'm going to connect us back to what Mary Beth said at the beginning. Playing games with students is a great way to help them build both their skills and their thinking. There are some conversation starters that we would love for you to use with your students, even if you're just out and about or asking them how their day was at school. These questions can engage students in those thinking practices. And then finally, we have some links to free learning resources that help students just explore different ways of doing math and thinking about math. So Mr. Parker, let's head back to that second grade example and go into the family engagement link. At the elementary level, we use Envision Mathematics as our curriculum, and there are some amazing resources that Savvis Envision has provided to us to help support learning at home. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the topics or the lessons that your student is working on in school. And let's say, for example, your student is learning in topic 3 right now, add within 100 using strategies. We can see the things that the students are learning about in that topic, what the strategies are that students are learning about, some pictures that help us to understand those strategies, like a hundreds chart or an open number line, some break apart strategies, and then the use of what's called compensation in mathematics. And if you continue, we can see some problem solving strategies out in class using those bar models. And then all the way down at the bottom, there are lesson resources. And this is actually what I'm most excited about. Let's click on lesson 3-3. And so as a family, you'll be able to view the video that students saw in school. And then there are some math help at home. So there's some extra problems that you can do with your students to help with their understanding of math. And then finally, my very favorite thing that's on this website are the home activities. So these are some things that you can do at home. This particular example is just a mental math activity, but I've seen other ones that include cards, dominoes, and other game-like activities that students can complete. There are some other resources on the parent page at the Harford County Public School website, and Brett shared those earlier. So earlier, Mr. Parker shared some of the resources in the academic information section of the parent website. And this includes things like resources for parent-teacher conferences, tutoring contacts, and free library tutoring. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware of some of the additional resources that are available for all family and community members to help students with mathematics. So after this presentation, I want you to think about what questions you might ask during parent conferences. You learned a lot about the information that you have access to from the iReady and the MCAP score reports, but you also learned about resources that can help at home, like the Envision Math resources, or the tutoring resources, or the free library resources that are available. So as you prepare for a parent conference, I really want you to think about how you might use those resources to ask some specific questions about what can be celebrated for your child, but also what specific supports your child needs.
We wanted to thank you for spending some time with us and watching this video. We will be having another session, another Lunch and Learn on November 14th from 12 to 12:45. And in that session, we're going to be exploring Maryland State Department of Education's new numeracy development framework, something that we're really excited to share with the community. So we hope to see you then.
Great. Thank you so much for providing this vital information, for having those resources available for parents to support math at home, and really helping us understand what are those diagnostic tests and how can we support our students as they're learning. So we thank you both so much. We're looking forward to hearing more from you on November 14th at noon. And thank you so much for watching Parent Academy, and we'll see you soon.
I did forget to mention the QR code here is
Yeah.
for a little feedback for us. So if you visit the website and have any ideas on how we can improve, we're always looking to get better at what we do and how we serve our students in our community.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Parker. Thank you, Ms. Potter. We appreciate you. And we're looking forward to helping our families do well this year in mathematics. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.